Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome to this Employability World Tour webinar focusing on job search in Canada, most East Coast. We let everyone coming inside. My name is Claire Ruffin. I work in EMLYON alumni team, and I will be the moderator today. Thank you for joining us to this ultimate session of our series of webinars, the Employability World Tour. This series of monthly webinars is a world tour to meet EMLYON alumni and recruitment experts around the globe and aims at presenting the employment specificities in 10 countries. We already have covered 9 countries. The last one, Morocco, Germany, United Kingdom, China, India, Japan, Australia, Brazil, and United States. If you are interested in one of these countries, the replay of our webinars are available on the EMLYON alumni platform. Today, we are going to discover a very attractive destination as far as employment is concerned, the Canada, Quebec part. I would like to thank warmly our 6 speakers, Valérie Flatz, Valérie Milon, Valérie Touze, Marlène Huissier, which as Air Director at Cybersecurity in Canada and worked with Valérie Milon, Maxime Marie, and Julien Tourgeron, who will share their experiences and knowledge of the Canadian job market and immigration with you. Just a quick note before starting on the technical aspects of this webinar. As you see, we kindly ask you to stay on mute during the speaker's presentation. However, feel free to open your microphone during the Q&A session or at the end of every part. If you have any question during the speaker's presentation, you can write them in the discussion box. And feel free to open your camera. It's always more nice for speakers to see you. And as you see, this session and all the others are recorded, so it can be shared with students and alumni who couldn't be with us today. I now turn our speakers who will introduce themselves. So to start, women first, we will begin with Valérie Travin-Milon. Valérie, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. So my name is Valérie Travin-Milon. I'm based out of Montreal. I got my diploma from EMLYON back in the 90s, as you can see. Today I'm heading the subsidiary of a French company, which name is Atos here in Canada. Very glad to be with you today. And as part of this presentation, I'm also the president of the Alumni Association. So very glad to host, in fact, this meeting as well.
Thank you. Valérie Flatz.
Good day, everyone. My name is Valérie Flatz. I'm a proud graduate of class of PG 93. I was almost there with, the two Valéries at the same time at EMLYON, and it's a privilege to be here with you today. I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. I've lived 18 years in Chile. I was hired by the Canadian embassy there to be their designated immigration officer for 12 years. I then moved to Montreal and I opened my own office, VF Immigration, back in 2016, and I've been running my office since then. I will happily answer all your questions about immigration later on during the discussion.
Thank you. And the third Valérie, Valérie Touze.
Yes, another Valérie, the last one today. Hi, everyone. So my name is Valérie. I graduated from Lyon after having done a bachelor in management in Montreal. So I only did years 2 and 3 in Lyon. And then I lived in France and in the UK for 15 years and Canada for 17 years. So I know all 3 countries pretty well. And I co-founded a company that is publishing educational software for smart phones and tablets for kids. So today I'm going to be the cultural person I will try to give you the best advice if you want to find a job here in Canada. And I'm going to compare, so I don't know what the nationalities are around the table, but my point of comparison will be what you would do in France and what you should do in Canada.
Thank you. Maxime, Marie?
Hey everyone, my name is Maxime. So I'm graduated from part of EMLYON First Global BBA in 2018, and then MS in Innovation and Entrepreneurship in 2019. It's 3 years now I'm in Canada. I'm working for immigration office in Canada, specialized to help entrepreneurs and independent brokers, investors to settle in Canada on immigration and business side. And I used to work with Decathlon also here in Canada. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. And Julien Tougeron.
Hi everyone, my name is Julien Tougeron. I'm the General Director of the French Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Canada. I'm a former entrepreneur. I'm not a EMLYON alumni. I have to apologize about that, but I spent my last 6 years in Canada, moving from France. I used to be an entrepreneur in tech services. I own two companies specializing in tech services. Is a medium company around 100 employees, and I spent my last 6 years in Canada, moving from Marseille to Montreal, working for the French government for the last 6 years, and now I'm the general director of the French Chamber of Commerce in Canada. I'm trying to explain to you the employment situation, the point of view of my member as a part of the employment situation in Canada, especially in Quebec. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you see, for this last webinar, we have lots of speakers who are really interesting and good knowledge of Canada. So to start this presentation, it will be in different parts. We will see the employment situation, industries, and employment trends, the view of the French CCA in Canada, job interview and cultural specificities, and the three best advice to job seekers of our alumni. So to start with the first part, employment situation, industries, and employment trends, we will have all the vision of Valérie Travers-Milon.
Thank you, Claire. And so, my role today is really to summarize, in fact, and then give you some elements of to understand, in fact, what is Canada, and obviously, in fact, share a bit about the network as well. So, the Canada obviously is a very large country, second largest country in the world, right after Russia. Just to give you, a sense of how large and how big it is. In fact, I mean, just to drive, in fact, from Montreal to Vancouver, Montreal being in the east and Vancouver being in the west, it's at least, in fact, 45 hours drive. So it's a very large country, and obviously, in fact, very diverse, I would say, in terms of culture and in terms of type of environments as well. So Canada is not a very large population, a bit less than 40 million this year, and two major provinces in terms of the population, Ontario, and Ontario being, in fact, where you have, in fact, Toronto, which is covering roughly, in fact, 40% of the population, and Quebec with Montreal and Quebec City having, in fact, a bit more than 8 million inhabitants. The immigration aspect is a major factor in the population expansion, and This has created, I would say, a very inclusive and diverse culture in Canada, but very, in fact, I would say, diverse in terms of the number of people that are coming from various, I would say, countries. In terms of the a bit more about the political aspects, so Canada is a federal government-based organization with a lot of autonomy that has been given to the provinces and territories. So as you may know or may not know, EMLYON this year is celebrating its 150th anniversary, and the Canadian Confederation celebrated their anniversary already a few years ago. So quite similar, I would say, in terms of the number of years, in fact, that EMLYON has been active versus the Canadian Confederation. Quebec is, I would say, a very specific province, and as you have heard, in fact, from the background and the position that we all have around this call, in fact, we will talk a bit more about Quebec today. Quebec being, in fact, the French-speaking province by far, and has always been very protective on the province's autonomy, and has its own specificities as well in terms of culture and in terms of position versus, in fact, the French language. Canada is the 9th largest economy in the world, and very, I would say, linked to the USA, as more than 70% of the export is towards the USA still today. As we said, in fact, Ontario and Quebec are the most populated provinces. They also are the most contributor to the GDP. So with Ontario being, representing, in fact, 39% of the GDP back in 2020, and Quebec 20%, followed by Alberta and British Columbia, which are two other important provinces in Canada. Each province, I would say, has, as I said, very different type of cultures, but different type of industry footprint, different type of cost of living, immigration policy, tax systems. So I think one first thing that I want to share with you is when you look at Canada, don't look at Canada as one country, but look at Canada and look at the specificities of each provinces. I think that's the first thing, in fact, that I would like you to remember, in fact, from this presentation. The second thing that I want you to remember is employment is in high demand in most domains. So there's a very low unemployment rate. In February of this year, in fact, was a bit more than 5%. And I've just checked, in fact, in Quebec, this month it is 4.1%. So very, very low employment, and even below, in fact, pre-pandemic levels. So very dynamic country and very fluid, I would say, market. The other thing that I would say is that there's a high competition for talents, English speakers in all provinces, obviously, but with a bonus for French speakers and essentially bilingual people in Quebec. That is not true in every province, but in Quebec, if you are French speaker or if you are bilingual, obviously it's a bonus, in fact, in the attractiveness of your resume. I'll end with something that is not written here, which is essential as well for you to know. In Canada, we've got an active network of alumni. And the last statistics that we can share is 167 alumni in Canada, most of them being based in Montreal, with 130 people, in fact, from the alumni network of EMLYON residing in Montreal. So very active, but as well, in fact, a large network that you can obviously, in fact, leverage in your contact with Canada. I'll stop here, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you. Don't hesitate if you have any question, put them in the discussion box, and we'll ask the speakers. no question for the moment.
Hope it was clear.
Yeah. And maybe Julien will give us the French CCI vision of employment in Canada.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Valerie, for the introduction. It's very useful, as you mentioned. The job market here is heating up. I have to say, now currently we have 100,000 missing jobs just in Montreal and 500,000 missing jobs around Quebec, only in the tourism area. Here in Quebec, especially, the job market returned to the pre-pandemic level, but before the pre-pandemic level, as Valerie mentioned, we have a residual rate of unemployment, which is pretty low. Is a 5.2, and now right now is 4.3, which is pretty low. That means a lot to our members in the French Chamber of Commerce in Canada. We're missing qualified jobs, nurse, doctor, computer science, also unqualified retail services. I have to say, most of my members have some trouble working 24/7, because I have one of the most famous restaurants coming from north of France, Les Trois Brasseurs. They got the obligation to close on Sunday because they don't have any employee they can run the business. This is a real situation, dramatic situation for this company. They have to increase the level of remuneration, especially for unqualified jobs. But they have to also hire people from early barely legal employee, and also retired employee, because they don't have enough. We don't have enough people to work, especially in Montreal or in Quebec. The French and the Canadian companies, they are in pretty bad condition as well, because the competitiveness about the increase of remuneration cut the budget, also cut the revenue of the company. We have also an inflation pretty high due to the level of remuneration. Is a vicious cycle here in Quebec, especially for companies who try to run that business. Also, we got a French subsidiary. They try to be more competitive. We have Canadian company. They're looking for set up in France because they want a new market to find new labor, new employees to come and work for them from France. And also from Canada. The thing is, we are in a pretty bad condition also for the immigration. The Maxime can told you because he just had his PR card to stay longer in Canada, but here Canada used to create like a chosen immigration. They're looking for qualified employees, but now we have a lack of an unqualified employee. And the Quebec government and the federal government doesn't looking for unqualified employees, which is pretty hard to understand. When you move to Canada as an immigrant, you have to be part of the qualified or the qualified worker, which is pretty hard when you have to do an unqualified job at the beginning. And also, if you wanna raise your salary, you have to be an immigrant who want to work as an unqualified worker. If you want more information, the French Chamber of Commerce here in Canada can help you to find a job. We also have an employment tab on the website. Feel free to send your resume. That will be great for our member to find a new great employee for EMLYON. Thank you.
Thank you, Julien. We just start to have some few questions in the discussion box. Maybe Léa Meyer, if you want to ask your question to Valérie or Julien.
Yes, sure. I'm looking for an internship in January in Canada, and I was looking a bit, and I've seen some offer, but especially in Montreal and not in Quebec City. So I was wondering if what's the real difference between the two cities?
I think the question is the difference between Quebec and Montreal. Is that correct, Leah? Yes.
Leah, we can hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was wondering about the differences between Quebec City and Montreal.
So I can start and then everyone please chime in. So I would say that Montreal is a very international city where you have a lot of different cultures and a lot of different, in fact, it's a type of inhabitants, a lot of variety as well in terms of the language that is spoken. So part of this city is mostly French speaking. The other part of the city is still a bit, I would say, English speaking first. So you will find a very diverse, I would say, culture here in Montreal, very attractive. In fact, even though I said, in fact, being bilingual is obviously basically a must when you come to the region of Quebec. In Montreal, in fact, you will have this kind of mixity in terms of, the languages. Quebec will be much more French speaking, a bit smaller in size as well, a bit less diversity in terms of the background of the people that are living there. And I would say it's two very nice cities, but one being a bit more, I would say, open and to variety of immigrants, rather than the other one, which will be very focused on the French-speaking, in fact, aspect.
Okay, I see. So if I want to get an internship, is it better to try to find in Montreal?
So again, do you want to?
Yeah, Leah, it depends. In Quebec City, it's more student, I think, than Montreal, but it's public sector is more important than in Montreal. Montreal, it's more PME, private sector, and in Quebec, public sector.
Okay, I see.
If I can add something, if you wanna resume of this, Montreal is a more economic heart of the Quebec, and Quebec is a more governmental city.
Okay.
You got the parliament which will be there in Quebec City, but also you can find very interesting tech company in Quebec City. All depend of the sense of your internship you wanna do, you wanna go. The thing is, if you want to go to Montreal, you have the ability to speak French and also in English. If you want to go to a French city in North America, go to Quebec City.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Maybe we can, if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask now, or we'll go to immigration parts. Okay. So Valérie Flats, with our specialists on immigration advice in Canada.
Yes, so just as Valérie explained, Valérie Travamillon explained before, there is Canada and Quebec. I mean, Quebec is a very distinguished province with its own specificities. And in general, in terms of immigration, you have some rules that apply only to Quebec and all the rules that apply to the federal country. So beware when you come to Canada, whether you want to establish in Quebec or in another province, you will then you will have to act differently whether you establish East or West in Canada. So make sure you understand the differences between Canada and the provinces before you actually put up a project. You can go to the next slide. I just want to make sure that you also go to the official and only to the official websites to get information. You will go to the red website, the CIC website, for anything that has to do with the federal government. And concerning Quebec, you will go to the blue website, the MIFI government website, to get information about Quebec. Remember that every year Quebec and Canada in general receives Canada received in general over 400,000 new immigrants, of which 70,000 established in Quebec only. We get also over 400,000 new students each year and 400,000 new workers each year. So Canada is a very open-minded country to new immigrants, although as Julien said before, it can be tricky to get the proper documentation. It can take also lots of time. So I always recommend people to make sure they take time to project their coming to Canada within a good time frame and not last minute time frame, because otherwise you're going to be very frustrated. That's one recommendation. Next slide, please. Okay, so traveling to Canada, you can come under 3 different statuses as a temporary resident, at least. You can come as a visitor. First thing, I would recommend for you to come for a prospection trip and learn more about Canada and where you want to establish or visit or work. You can come if you're from an exempt, visa exempt country. You can come here to Canada with an ETA, an electronic visitor authorization, sorry. This will authorize you to come for up to 6 months. Same thing for visa country. You can ask for a visitor visa. Once you get your visitor visa, any entry into Canada will only give you up to a 6-month stay. Remember that coming to Canada is not a right, it's a privilege. So remember that even if you're allowed to come as a visitor, a student, or a worker, it doesn't mean that arriving into the airport, you will be authorized to enter Canada directly as a right. You will have to speak to an officer. Will give you the privilege to enter or not enter Canada as a visitor, a student, or a worker. So as a student, you first have to find a right program, study program, and get the right documentation, which would be a study permit. For any students in the world, you have to have a study permit if you're going to come to study for over 6 months in Canada. And depending on the length of the study program, you will get from 6 months to 3 years study permit, even 5 years if you come for a doctorate, so a PhD program. So, but make sure again that you get the proper documentation. You first have to register in a school before you can ask for the proper CAQ if you're coming to Quebec, and then study permit. As a worker, you also have different programs, different possibilities. It's convenient for younger people, and we'll see the next slide for a specific program for under 36 years old. For over 36 years old, and if you're coming from one of those countries which we did not sign an agreement with Canada, I would say it's a little bit more complicated in the sense that your company has to validate a job offer, which can take up to 4 months. There are some specific priorities for specific employers and specific jobs and professions, which make it a little shorter in terms of time. but really don't think of it as a fast track thing. Usually it takes time for anything, actually. For a student or a worker, just don't assume you can come within 2 or 3 days. It's going to take time. Okay, and I would say for those students who want to come like in August, it's too late. It's already too late. Forget about that. Just prepare for yourself for January. And same thing for a worker, unless you're coming intend to work in a specific profession. It's kind of late now for the August. Be prepared for September, October as of today. Next slide, please. So the program I was referring to before is the IEC. It's a very attractive option. The only thing that only 36 countries signed the agreement to be part of that IEC program. It's a program that allows young people under 36 years of age to actually come and work or not work. Actually, there is a work and holiday program also to visit Canada and visit and work, or just visit Canada. But you have also, so there are 3 different programs: the working holidays permit, which allows you to come visit and work; the young professional, which allows you to come do not an internship, actually. It's the VIE is included in this one. You have to have a diploma or a good work experience. You have to have an offer in a 0A or B profession. Remember that here in Canada, all the professions are classified under classification, which classifies every profession between 0 and DE, actually a letter, depending on your level of education. So for young professional, you need to have a 0 or A or B profession, which involves some kind of, but you're going to have some, it's kind of high in the, you cannot just be a seller or in a store, or you cannot work in a restaurant as just a waiter, that's for sure. So young professional is everything except low, very unqualified jobs. For international co-op, it would be only for those stage or internships that are included into your study programs. It cannot be just because sometimes in France you refer to a stage or just a job experience. Here the internship has to be included in your study program, and it has to be approved by your study institution. So here, EMLYON. It would have to be a tripartite, as we say in French, agreement between your school, the employer, and yourself before you are allowed to come as an intern under the international program. It's up to 2 years, but then again, some countries only get 1 year. So it all depends, and I invite you to check on the link I've put here on the slide, so you can check whether your country is registered and how much time you have, and which of the 3 different programs you're allowed to also submit your application. Next slide. Okay, one last recommendation, and just beware that there are lots of scams on the web. So if you just type immigration to Canada, you probably will be invited to pay, and some of them are just very, very, very attractive. They just tell you pay 1,000 and we'll get you a job and a visa. Don't go for a cheap and attractive scams. The most attractive, probably the most terrific is the scam. So just don't get outside of the legal website, which are provided by the federal and the provincial. Each province has its own regulations. So make sure you go to only those sites that are put in place by the government of Canada or each province to get the right things. And also, if you're going to be helped by a professional, only the lawyers, the regulated Canadian immigration consultants, and the Quebec notaries can represent you to get the proper forms and papers. So don't pay anyone that is not part of those 3 specific professions. You can go there. So there are some specific like the CCI, the Chambre de Commerce will assist you, and they probably have a lawyer that can assist you, or a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. Every company has its own professional, but just make sure there is one of those professionals behind the person who's offering you a job, who will help you with the permits. And I will of course answer all your questions after that. Thank you.
Thank you. We had a question of Ajverkor. I don't know if I say the wrong name. Do you want to ask directly a question?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, so my name is Harshveer. My question was about the work permit scene for non-EU students. I have an Indian passport at the moment, and I am looking for an internship, ideally, if not, then later a job in Canada. And India is not in the IEC list of countries. So in that case, what do you recommend? Is it a tough thing to get a work permit and a job in Canada like US, or what is it like? What would you recommend?
Especially for an internship, because it's going to be a short period of time. So since it involves so much energy and money and time for the employer to get you the job approved by the Canadian government, I don't think it's going to be, unless you have someone who's already interested and who's moving fast. It depends on when you need that internship for, but usually it's going to take a lot of energy from both you and the employer to get the right papers.
Okay, so in that case, if it's for a job and not an internship, do you think it's easy or difficult to get a work permit? And do employers generally give work permits in Canada, or is it more like US, which is very difficult and stuff?
I don't know about the US. I'm not an expert about the US requirements. All I can say is that it depends on where you're going. I would say probably if French is not your first language or second language, move west and you probably have more options. It all depends on the employer. If they're desperate about getting someone who has your knowledge and diplomas, then maybe they'll move the earth to get you the proper forms and documents. But if it's quicker and easier for them to get someone locally, they will go for local.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, good luck.
And we have another question from Thomas Liesel.
Yes, thank you, Valérie, for the presentation. I would like to know if it's common to enter to Canada using a working holiday visa and then to use those 2 years to apply for permanent immigration.
Yeah, so it used to be very common before July 22nd, 2020, before the regulations changed, because before that you needed only 1 year of work experience in Canada to apply for permanent residency. After July 2020, unfortunately, they moved those requirements to 2 years. So now technically you cannot apply for permanent resident immigration right after you finish those 2 years, because you still need to be living in Canada and working at the time you make the application. So I would recommend, in this case, if you want to settle in Quebec, go for the regular qualified worker PRTQ. It's the program for le programme régulier des travailleurs qualifiés, PRTQ in Quebec. So check on the MIFI government website about this program, because you can apply as soon as you arrive in Quebec and you have a permanent job offer.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And we have another question from Richard Perales.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, Valerie. Thank you for your information. And so I'm wondering if how it's possible to connect student status with a provincial nominee program. I'm targeting British Columbia, for instance, and I'm well aware that it's a possibility to gain points because they have a base point system evaluation for newcomers to Canada. So I'm wondering how is it possible if you have more information.
You would be studying in British Columbia? That's your
Yes,
intention?
I'm targeting a master there in media, in media management. So so what I was wondering, so I'm from the MBA class from 2010.
Okay.
So far I'm 45 years old and I'm planning to move there. So I'm in real estate, but I'm going to make change in career, may say.
Okay.
But I don't know if you have some thoughts about it.
Okay, no, just good for you. Just once you finish I would say finish your study program, apply under Express Entry. But you know that Express Entry was actually on pause during almost a year now. They just reopened their extractions, as we say.
Okay.
But I would say that you will get more points because of your age. You will get more points once you finish your study programs and actually have an employer in BC.
Okay.
To get an invitation.
Okay, so I need to finish the study first.
Yeah, but you can always, it's free to put your name and your profile under Express Entry. So you can always put your profile under Express Entry and wait for an invitation. But I'm most certain that you won't get an invitation before you actually finish your study program, because it will give you extra points and you get a permanent employer in BC.
And just final question about the age. It's a limitation. It's a limitation to start. I mean, at 45 years old. I mean, it's just for the table. If any one of you have any sensation about that, it would be helpful.
No, it's just that you don't get points, so you have to make up for those points. So that's why I say make up for those points with your studies and your work experience.
Okay.
And don't forget to take both the French, and if you speak French, take both the French and English exams, so you get more points for both languages, and they give extra points for French speakers. So French is always a good thing to have.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
It's helping. Okay. We have Farnaz.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
I have a question about if I wanted to, actually I'm planning to apply for an Express Entry, but I might decide to do a PhD next year, and I wanted to know if I apply for Express Entry and then be accepted for a PhD in Canada, will it be troublesome for me, or regarding the visa and the process? Thank you.
So I didn't understand. You intend to apply to what next year? A PhD?
Yes, this summer I'm applying for Express Entry, but I might apply for a PhD next year in Canada. And I wanted to know if it will be complicated for the visa process if I'm already in the pool for Express Entry.
No, it's two different scenarios, and you can do both at the same time. No worries. And good for you, and it's going to be good for you if you get the permanent resident status before you actually start your program. So, and if you don't, it doesn't matter. You will come as an international student, and then we'll change status in the midst of your studies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think we have no more questions for the moment, but we will have a Q&A session.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. So we will pass to the second part of this webinar, the job interview cultural specificities and best advice of two of our speakers. So to start this first part, the third, Valérie Touze, will give us a vision.
Yeah, so hello again. As I said earlier, I wanted to give you some advice based on what you might know from a job application or interview in France. So, and this might just be slightly out of date because I haven't been on the job market for a while, but for the longest time in France, it wasn't okay to have a CV that was longer than 1 page. Here in Canada, it is not an issue. So don't try to cram it all up onto one page. They don't care. The content is more important than the fact that it's only 1 page or 2 pages. I wrote no personal information required. It's not even that it's not required, it's illegal for you to add your date of birth or a picture or so anything apart from your address and phone number should not, you should not write if you're married or single or have any kids or anything like that on your CV. And even if you're good looking, do not put a picture on. It will not help. The other main difference that you will hear again, and I saw it in the next slides, is that here in Canada, your job experience is more important than the school that you graduated from. So, so please remember to put your work experience on top of your studies in the order of your CV. And when you, the reason why I started with the 2 pages is that I think that the main difference is that Canadian employers will be looking for specific information on the jobs that you've had, no matter what kind of job. They will be looking for you to write your specific achievements. If you have number related information, so if you were a salesman and you managed to increase the sales and make it personal, not the team. They want to know what you did and they want to have specific information as to what your role was and what your impact was in the company. And I wrote professional or not because if you're a black belt in judo or karate, for instance, it's important because it proves something about your personality and about something that you've achieved. So don't hesitate to write anything outside of professional experience that might be relative to the job application. And then the last point was use verbs. So my advice would be to start the sentence with a verb, not either, but achieved, increased, the verbs that that are actions that are specific to your achievements. In the interview, it might sound stupid, but I see so many people who have not even been on my website before they come for a job interview that I wanted to include it in my advice. So please take the time to look at the company website and to look up the people on LinkedIn, because you might find that you know some people in common, that they studied at Lyon or that they worked in a company that you know, and it's always valuable for the chit chat and for maybe and to connect. And it's also valuable because they will ask, have you been on my website? And if you say no, or if you try to lie, don't worry, they will detect a lie. So that was my first piece of advice. Remember achievements before studies. So when you start talking, focus on what you've done, because they'll know that you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Otherwise, they wouldn't see you. But the most important is what you're bringing to the company, and prepare quantitative accomplishments. So as I said before, if you have numbers, if you have real specific examples of what you've done, it's always better for them. Prepare a list of questions and keep one for your follow-up email and send a follow-up email. It's something that I'm not sure that I did back in the day when I was looking for a job, and I talked about it here, and it's really something that everybody does and that should be done. I even found some websites on advice on how to formulate your follow-up email. So my advice would be, they will always ask, do you have questions? So prepare for that, and keep just one, because when you're going to say thank you for taking the time to speak speak to me. You know, I'm very motivated, and everything that we talked about has increased my motivation to work for your company. Oh, and I have one last question, blah, blah, blah. It's always helpful. And in terms of cultural differences, I thought, you know, I should say this just in case you didn't know, but the standard work contract in Canada gives you 2 weeks of holidays. So if you're 45, maybe you can go for 4 weeks, but it also depends on the company. Like I know that even L'Oréal here, they start you on a 2-week holiday. So that's a big cultural difference. And there are not more bank holidays than there are in France. So don't count on that. Working hours and lunch, people don't usually take a huge lunch break here. So they'll grab lunch, bring lunch from home, have lunch with their colleagues or in front of their computer, and they'll come usually also start earlier. Between 8 and 9 is like late already, and finish earlier with a shorter lunch break. So that's, I think, standard throughout Canada. So that's for the interview part. Do not ask how many holidays you will have or when you can take your first holiday. It's never recommended during the interview. So my 3 best advice was, the first one is really, really important for mostly for the French people in the audience. It's be confident but humble. What we see a lot here is like people from Quebec love their French cousins, but, and it's a huge but, usually French people come through as being arrogant, as, you know, correcting their accent or their words. So remember that you're trying to come to a new country. So even though it's the same, it's supposed to be the same language, the languages have evolved and it's not better or not as good. If you want to come to Canada, just embrace the French Canadian, and do not come and give them lessons or feel superior about it. And you might find it funny, but it's truly something that is being felt throughout Quebec. Be factual and precise, and that comes back to my other advices where don't talk about what your team did or what, really be specific about what you did in your experience. And the last one I think is interesting compared to what we heard before. Don't forget that you need to be a good fit for the job, and the job needs to be a good fit for you. You might be desperate to come to Canada, but first of all, a Canadian contract, it usually has a 2-week notice, so they can get rid of you as fast as they took you on. So there's no real safety in employment. So, and it's really important that you feel good for the company and the company feels good for you. So don't try to take any job just to say, I'm coming in. It won't work. You need to find some, for me, if you want to come for an internship, it's obviously different. But if you want to immigrate, take the time. It's a life project. So take the time to look for something that is appropriate and that you can project yourself staying into for at least a year or 2. Don't try to make it quick and dirty, because it's probably not a good idea. That's it for me.
Thank you. Very interesting, very relevant about lots of differences between French and Canadian. If someone have a question for Valérie? No, not for the moment. So we'll have the point of view of Maxime, who is arrived just a few years ago in Canada. So maybe he had good example about all these cultural differences he felt when he come in Montreal.
Yes, of course. I will directly jump on what Valerie said about don't do it quick and dirty. It's a life project. That's what I always recommend to my customers from outside of Canada. Just The first thing is to come to Canada. First, come if you have the opportunity or the chance to come to Canada for vacation or anything business trip, anything you can do. Please come, especially for Quebec, as it's there, as everybody said. There is the French language and Canadian French mostly present in Quebec, Montreal, and stuff like that. There is a very huge difference between Montreal and the region. So outside of Montreal, like Quebec, like Mauricie, and any other region of this province. Montreal is mostly English-speaking area as a English and French-speaking area. Sorry, as everybody mentioned. So you can succeed in Montreal easy. Like everybody make the effort to speak with you and to adapt to your language. But it's important to also, as Valerie said, to embrace the Quebec and Canadian culture, and especially the French, if you can. The first thing, so just to replace a little bit of context, so I arrived in Canada under a work holiday permit visa in 2019, so 6 months before the beginning of COVID. So I started to work for Decathlon here in Canada, so French company based in Canada. It was at this time for 4 years, something like this, so very young settlement for them on the market, on the Canadian market. So huge things to achieve, huge stuff, like many job to do, many job offer. The first main thing they have to face off was the ratio of Canadian versus French people inside the company. Because when you are a French company, of course, you're offering many internal movements inside the company to your employees from outside of Canada. So that was a huge and difficult situation, because a lot of Canadian and Quebecois people inside the company were always like saying, oh, it's too French company. They are too French. They are speaking too French, not like us, and stuff like that. So that was a huge need of adaptation and flexibility when you are working for them, especially. The first thing I've noticed here was so the tutoiement. So in English, in first name terms, something like this. So this is very important in Canada to use these first name terms. So especially in French. I know in English it's more confusing, but mostly in French. So you have to say to someone, even if it's the CEO of the company or just like nothing, like we don't care of the position of people, just have to say it. And that happened to me with the CEO of Decathlon when I just met him for the first time in the corridors of the office, and just started to say vous, comment allez-vous? And he say like, okay, so you just know gonna start again and say hello back to me again, and now you're gonna say tu, because you are in Quebec and you need to adapt. So that was my first week of job, and I was just like dying in front of him and don't know what to say and how to react. So that started like this for me. Then I think just try to emphasize what I've done and what happened to me in Canada for all of the students and alumni that wants to come here. So I have been fired during the COVID. So during this very hard situation for everyone, and I just realized what is it to be fired in North America. So you just like, it was for fully understandable reason, economical reason, and that's life, and that happened to many people here and all around the world. But it was like just a 30-minute call with your boss and your colleague, and just saying like, okay, so from now it's 1 p.m. You can just close your computer. Due to the COVID, you will have to send it back to the office, and good luck for the next for the rest of your life, and we hope that this situation will be ended soon. So that was a very, very particular situation for me, and and that was very hard to just like no more contacts. Everything is shut down, and you're just like a number at home, and you don't know what to do. So yeah, that was a very hard thing. So I said also, just be yourself and don't be afraid of your differences. What I like the most in Canada is the fact that people are really open-minded with everyone, and they are, at least I think, the opposite of the individualism compartment I've seen in France, for example, as a French person. And so this is completely different, completely the contrary. So I said I would like to say come as you are, because even if you have cultural differences, even if you're different orientation in your life for being with a man, being with a girl and stuff like that, like just come like you are, and everybody will like you for the essence of yourself. So that's really what matters here, and what I felt compared to judgments we can have in France or other countries. Also, Valeria said a lot of about the resume, so I'm not gonna cover this topic again. But one tips that I can give to you is to have a Canadian phone number. So that could make the difference if you are outside of Canada, and especially also if you are on the territory, because when recruiters saw a French number, generally they are not considering the resume. That happened to me for a few times when I was looking for a job here. So yeah, just get a Canadian number. I don't want to make ads for any companies, but you have this French company named On-Off, which is very well known, that can help you with that, but many other companies that can provide you a Canadian number. So that will for sure help you just to get the first contact with the company and try to get hired then. And she said also that experience is much more valuable than your studies or diploma. So just to react on this, my experience as a EMLYON student, and I can compare it with other students of other high French schools in business like HEC or ESSEC or EDEC or stuff like that. Many people don't know us and don't know our schools, so don't come here with like saying, oh, I've done EMLYON, it's the third school of France. Like, okay, I don't care. Like, I just want to know what you have achieved, what you have done, and I don't even know your school. And this is not to discredit EMLYON, sorry. This is the same for each schools in France, be sure about that. But if you have, during your experience, done an exchange, a study exchange in Canada, like in McGill or in all the partners that EMLYON has, this is a real plus for you, for sure, because they know that they are knowing these schools. But when you have done a school in France, generally just don't care about it and just want to know, like, okay, you have a master's degree, that's fine. That's more than enough. And just know right now, what have you achieved? What have you done? Who you are? That's mostly what they are asking and requesting you to say here. I think I've covered quite a lot of the subject. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate.
Thank you, Maxime, to give us your experiences. It was quite hard to begin for this first job, but you found another way. So it's you can show that you found all the energy to find another job in Montreal. So congratulations to you. We have a question of Leah Meyer. Yes. Leah, do you want to ask directly a question to Valérie or Maxime?
Yes, sure. I was wondering, if I applied, for example, for a French company, do I have to send a CV, like a French CV with the rule of France, or should I send a CV with the Canadian rules?
Valérie, do you want to answer, or you can go?
Yeah, you can go.
So that's what I've done when I was in France, and that was not successful. so you just adapt to the company and to the local way to recruit, because As I said, with Decathlon, for example, all the HR team was Quebecois people. So they were not used to receive a resume like HR teams in France, for example. So yeah, just apply. You can even check before on LinkedIn and try to contact them to ask what is the best. That will not disqualify you of any process, but normally you adapt to how it is here.
Okay, thank you.
If I may add, just remember that in any case, if they want to see your face, they will go to LinkedIn or your Facebook. So make sure you actually update your LinkedIn profile and make sure you don't have any unwanted pictures on Facebook that will compromise your future. So clean your Facebook and make sure your LinkedIn is updated.
Marlène or Valérie?
I just want to build on something that Maxime said. I think it's very important to understand that here in Canada, and especially in Quebec, experience matters, as Maxime and Valerie were saying. But even if you fail in an experience, it has a value. And I think, you know, people here are very pragmatic, but also, in fact, like people that take, you know, the risk, but learn, in fact, from their mistakes as well, and learn from difficulties as well. So I would say that resilience is something that is very important here. And if you have, you know, a difficult experience first, it will make you stronger, understanding, in fact, what are the rules, and don't be shy if you have, in fact, you know, one failure, to build on that and show that you've learned, in fact, from this failure. So I don't know, Maxime, if this is something on which I see you noting. I don't know if you want to shed some colors around what you've experienced on that, but I wanted, in fact, to tell everyone, it's not like in France where you have, you know, a difficulty, I mean, people judge you. It's really, in fact, you've learned from something that you've done here. This has a value, and having done have the first experience, even though it's not exactly the work of your dream, has a value as well. So because it helps you to show that you've understood better the culture, and so that has say an immense value as well.
Yeah, I think that we can link this with a simple and important soft skill that I have seen in Canada and especially in Quebec that everybody has is honesty, and be honest with people. And I think that it's emphasis in the culture of Quebec and culture of Canada, but mostly more in Quebec, if I can say that. Be honest. Just explain what happened to you. I've never been more sexy on the work market, labor market, than after being fired by Decathlon. So that just brought me many opportunities. Many people were contacting me. They were just like, they wanted to give me a chance, another chance, and so that was like, it was also linked with the COVID situation, of course, missing of good profiles and stuff like that, but that was like just insane, the number of people that contacted me and that were like caring of me and of what happened to me, even at Decathlon as well. So finally I get back to Decathlon for a few time, and then I switched to another company, to Conexa. But yeah, before that, like, that was just insane. Yeah, go for it, Julia.
If you can add something, Leah, be positive. Just be positive. Don't be negative. If you had a bad experience, doesn't matter. Just bring the positive to the people you're gonna meet, because I think it's the key. If you got some trouble, if you got fired, if you got trouble with your colleague, it doesn't matter. Just explain what you learn and what you make you better with this experience. I think is the key, especially in North America.
Yeah, I could add actually to prepare for your interview, you know, when they ask for your strengths and weaknesses, don't go for a fake weakness like I'm too perfectionist. this won't hold here. Find something that you failed at and that you learned from. That's a good weakness.
Bastien, Rose, if you have a question, do you want to ask directly your question?
Yes. Hello. So next semester, I'm going to Victoria in British Columbia for an academic exchange, so less than 6 months. And I have an administrative question. Can I enter Canada with an ETA and then apply for an EIC because I would like to do an internship after. So apply for an EIC or study permits directly in Canada.
Hi, Bastien. I would recommend for you to apply for a study permit even if you're coming for less than 6 months, only because this will allow you to change status to a work status faster. So go for a study permit even if you're coming for less than 6 months. And you can come with an ETA, but it will give you less future opportunities and less flexibility after that.
Okay.
So I would recommend the study permit first thing. And do you have specific tips to find internship in Canada? Well, the Chamber of Commerce usually they have good. They have some. So they can give you some help with that. Connect you with some French. Also, we have the ambassador, the alumni of Canada. Here on the internet, not on internet, sorry, on LinkedIn, we have a page, and sometimes you can just post that you're looking for an internship. There are about 150 people connected, so maybe someone will have a tip for you, or maybe will propose you an internship. We have some actually Lyon alumni posting their CVs, resume on our LinkedIn, so don't take a chance.
We're looking for an intern at the French Chamber of Commerce if you want a 6 months internship if you want.
Oh, a direct.
Direct, yeah.
You should.
We are in North America, so we have to be straight to the point.
Okay. So I don't know what's for when it is, but it will be like for January of next year for me. But,
yes, send me your resume. So you send me your resume. We're looking for internship for every 6 months. So we're looking for an internship right now for the business club, and we're gonna need another one from January to June next year as well. So Bastien, feel free to send me your resume.
Okay, amazing. I will send you.
Maybe you can connect to Julien on LinkedIn. So.
Yeah.
But just share your LinkedIn and so you Google before for your photo if it checks your pictures and things like this, and no photo on your CV.
Okay, great. I will. Thank you so much.
What kind of internship is it?
Is an internship for events. We currently are doing a lot of events for our members in the Chamber of Commerce. We're looking for someone who would do some marketing prospection, also event coordination. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. So business students would be great for me, especially from EMLYON. We had one from EMLYON a few months ago.
Okay, thank you. Interesting.
And yeah, just for your information, before Julien took over, the former director for the Chamber of Commerce was an EMLYON alumni. So there's a lot of connections with the CCIFC organization. And I think, Julien, you should confirm that if I'm right or wrong, but I think as well, they can use your website in order to publish their resume, right?
Yeah. That's I mentioned earlier in the webinar. We also have a job tab in our website. If you want to send your email, you can. If you want to send your resume, you can do it on our website. I'm gonna give you on the chat box.
Perfect. And as you see, we have a really dynamic network community in Montreal with lots of ambassadors who are doing lots of things for students and alumni. So they're really open today to introduce themselves and to give you some tips. And in the way, it's a good network to find opportunities and internship, as you see. So community, it's a big power to improve your career.
Indeed, and Claire, if I may, in fact, so Maxime and Valérie Flat are very active as ambassadors in the region. So I think they would be very good contacts as well for everyone. And obviously, I'm open to any questions and contacts as well on my side.
I will give you in the chat box the link of our community. You can find in our website. And so don't hesitate to go and to visit this community. Is there another question to our speakers?
Just maybe a precision. Can you just re-say the explanation about the classified profession, please?
Yes, if you Google NOC, N-O-C, you will get the list of professions, the Canadian list of professions, and each profession is classified under 0, A, B, C, D, or E level, depending on your diploma, mostly your diploma, or not diploma if it's an unqualified occupation. But you need to look up for your profession so that you can actually, there are over 60 professions that are regulated, like us, the Canadian regulated immigration consultants. And it means that you cannot do your work in your profession if you're not under the regulatory body in the province in which you will establish, because it goes by province on top of that. So make sure that you find your profession and make sure your profession is not regulated, otherwise you will have trouble finding a job in Canada. So again, the webpage, you Google NOC, N-O-C, or CNP. In English, it's CNP. It's easier to find it in English, CNP. NOC or CNP, and you will find the Canadian professions for more information. And I recommend you look up your profession in English, because the French translation is really the Quebec translation of your profession. And sometimes it's not the same wording. So you will look up for something, and in French you say, I don't have any specifics here, but really you just go for the English name of your profession. It's going to be faster and quicker to find your profession.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to give one example just to illustrate that in French. So a manager, as we would say in French, would be called gestionnaire here in Quebec.
Okay, we didn't have the same sense. Okay. And do you have some websites really specific in Canada to find job or internship, like we can have in France, for example?
LinkedIn is a very powerful tool, I have to say. Most of the job posting used to be on this website. Also, you can send your resume on Indeed or Monster or something like this, but you have to search a lot to find the right job. You know, the main sport in Canada is not hockey, is networking. So you have to be more concentrated on your relationship. You have to do some link in LinkedIn and connect with a network. And EMLYON is a huge network here in Canada, especially in Quebec. So use it a lot.
For applying for startups as well, you can use the Grenier aux Emplois as well, which is a very nice place, very small website, but it's dedicated for startups and small companies.
I've just shared the CNP webpage and also lots of different pages where you can look up for jobs. I've put actually the Chamber of Commerce, which has always referred to my clients. So just go to the Chamber of Commerce, and then I've put a lot of different pages too, which could be useful. But remember, LinkedIn will be your first choice. LinkedIn is your best friend in that case.
Yeah, I can also recommend Espresso Jobs for marketing and technology. So I'll add that to the list.
Is there another question? Not for the moment. Someone had another question or information or? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Really all our speakers for all these elements of these tips of all this information and knowledge on subjects in Canada today. I hope that the contents of this webinar for all our speakers and all our the person who were here today was really valuable and answered all your questions. If you have another question, don't hesitate. We have free time. I will send you the slide and the replay of this webinar in a few days, and you will find them in the alumni platform on the careers tab in a few days, I think on Friday or next week. And I really hope you have good time with us. I really have good time here and lots of information about the do and don't for Canada. And we hope that we will see you next time, maybe in Montreal, or I don't know. And thank you very much, Valérie, and Valérie, the third Valérie, Maxime, Julien, and also our recruitment specialist. Marlène, thank you very much to be with us today and to take your time to give all this information. It was really, really valuable, I think, for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for explanations.